There is a new moon this Sunday, June 18th, and boy, is it going to be a doozy. And I have the chart of it right here for y'all to see. So in case you're wondering, for all of those of you who don't know, I practice sidereal Vedic astrology, which means I look at where the planets are actually placed in the sky. So this is the chart of the Vedic New Year. And as you can see, we have got the ascendant, ASC, is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And we have Saturn there in its own sign in Aquarius, and both the ascendant and Saturn are in the nakshatra Shatabhishak. So what that means is that we are going to be looking at health, but specifically mental health as well as addictions. That's what Shatabhishak stands for. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of some healings with all that. But where is the consciousness? This is the soul. The ascendant is the soul. But where's the consciousness? Where does the mind go? The mind goes over here to Gemini, and that is the moon. The consciousness is the moon, and it is in Gemini, and that is where the new moon is. And it is with the sun, because the sun and the moon together cause a new moon. So it's going to be there, obviously, in Gemini, which is the house of communications. So what are we going to be talking about, or what are we going to be thinking about? The communications involving what? Our health, mental health, and addiction issues. In regards to, however, what? Well, turns out Gemini is the fifth house. So, and the fifth house represents children, and it also represents politics. We're going to be talking about how our children are affected with addiction issues and mental health issues, and how politics plays into all this. And we're going to be seeing that a little bit more as I go on. Now, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is the communications, but it also represents the youth. So we have the fifth house of children, Mercury, the depositor, going over here to the fourth house. Our fourth house is our happiness, our homeland, our security. And the children are not feeling at home. They're not feeling secure. And they really are feeling like they don't have a place to reside, or they don't feel secure. And that is going to be another topic that we are going to be talking about. It represents the home life. How are we going to make our children feel safe and secure and like they have a place in this world? And Mercury also rules the eighth house of this chart. And the eighth house stands for scandals and things happening behind the scenes, but it also stands for transformation. So you know there has been a lot of scandals going around about the children, what they are being exposed to in the school system, in social media, and other forms of communications, and with their friends, and the impact of all that it has on their mind, their mental health, basically. And with the Mercury being the ruler of the eighth house of transformations, we are going to start to see some transformations in this arena. Now, the other thing that we want to look at is this sign right here, which is Aries, which means new beginnings. And what do we have here? We have got Rahu, Jupiter, and Uranus, all in Aries, which is new beginnings. And Jupiter is the indicator of what? Children. And also a higher self, higher knowledge. And it is with Rahu. So it's getting blown up. It's getting blown. It's being made bigger. And that is what the Rahu would indicate. And it is what is going on right now in the physical realm. So that's another indication for the children and what we're going to be talking about. And what is Aries? Aries is also the third house of the new moon chart. And the third house is communications. So how the media has been biased in reporting this information to the public, and also in a lot of their other reporting. They basically have been used as a propaganda machine for people's special interest. And all of that is starting to come to light. We are starting to see more and more how the media is being manipulated this way and what's happening. So they have not been, let's say, always forthcoming in what's going on. But with Uranus there, we're going to see some sudden changes in that as people are becoming more and more aware of this. They're not buying into the stories that the media are telling them. So we want to get to the bottom of what's going on with our children in regards to what? Not only politics, but our government. And why do I say that? I say that because we have Mars, which rules the third house of this chart, and the 10th house, which is the government. Mars rules, this is Scorpio and Aries, and he goes to where? He goes over here to Cancer. And Cancer happens to be the 6th house of this chart. And the 6th house represents our enemies. It represents obstacles and delays. And I think a lot of the masses have been seeing the government more and more as being not necessarily on their side, but maybe fighting against them. So there has been a lot of friction there, and that is what's happening. Now, I will say that Mars is debilitated here in Cancer. So while people are being angry about it, it's kind of brewing under the surface because Mars is debilitated. So the full strength of Mars is not there to go forward and take action. But do not let that fool you. Things are still happening there behind the scenes in the 6th house. And the 6th house can also be enemies, but they're not enemies that are hidden. They are enemies that you can see. And I think a lot of people are thinking that maybe the government is kind of an enemy to what? Their safety, their home, the children. Because Cancer is the 4th house of the zodiac. And again, we are seeing happiness, home life, and our security, and that is being threatened. Now, the other issue is that Mercury, as I said, was the depositor of the 5th house of children, goes here to Taurus. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and also Venus rules here the 9th house, okay, going to the 6th house. So we have the 4th house of security going to the 6th house, so we don't really feel secure. And the 9th house, what is the 9th house? The 9th house is justice. It is our laws. And Ketu is there. And with Ketu being in this particular location, which is actually Libra, and Libra is a sign that represents justice, we don't feel like we are being treated justly. There's no justice in the world. The 9th house is laws. We have laws, but we realize that they are not being followed. They are being broken. And it seems as though the innocent people are the ones who fall victim to this and they're being criminalized, whereas the people who are committing the crimes are getting away with it. And that is what's causing a lot of this, because it deposits over here to where Mars is, fuels that anger that's falling beneath the surface, that's bubbling, just bubbling and festering. Because we're tired of seeing people getting away with things. There hasn't been any justice. But that is going to change eventually. And this is what's happening right now with this new moon, is it's bringing, we've been seeing this coming to light, but it's bringing it to light even more. So we will see more and more of this, especially with Venus and Mars being in Cancer. They do not like each other. Venus and Mars are not friendly to each other. They're in opposite camps, so they're fighting. They are fighting. But with this new moon, since Mars is at the higher zodiac degree of 22 degrees, he wins the war, okay? And both Venus and Mars, very interestingly enough, are in Ashlesha. And Ashlesha is a nakshatra that represents the snake. So they have the piercing eyes that can see through things. So we are seeing through what's going on. We are seeing through the deception. And the other thing that Ashlesha stands for is psychology, helping the mentally ill, helping the people with their lives. So that's another indicator of what's going on with the Shatabishik there, with the ascendant and Saturn being in Shatabishik. And Ketu, I want to mention, that is in Swati. Now, Swati is a nakshatra that is the purifier. So how can these things be purified? Ketu and Rahu are where the eclipses lie. And so Rahu brings things out into the world, in the material world. And Ketu is the shadows, what's going on behind the material things. And when the eclipses go over that, what happens is the shadows come to light. And so that's what's happening in the natural ninth house of the zodiac, or Libra, the house of justice. So there has not been any justice, but we're seeing that, and we're seeing it's coming to light, and we're going to be discussing, because the good thing is that Mercury is all about communications, because Gemini's all about communications because it's ruled by Mercury, and the new moon is there. So we are going to start having conversations about this, and it's all coming to light so that so that it can be healed. And we will have to look at the full moon, which is another video, to see how this is all going to transpire, because the new moon plants the seeds for what's happening, and then the full moon brings it to fruition. So that's what you have there. We still have Pluto going over the United States. Natal Pluto, it's a Pluto return, and the United States Pluto return is at 6 degrees. And Pluto at this new moon is at 541 degrees, so it is being activated, and it is the 12th house of this chart. And that's telling me that we're looking at the economy, and it is not recovering the way we would like to. We are definitely in a recession. And that can also be looked at by the second house. With Neptune being there, it kind of causes a fog over things. So we're not really sure and clear about what's going to be happening with the economy. And the ruler of this house here, which is Pisces, is Jupiter, which is the second house of this chart, which is also the 11th house of this chart. And that is Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter, being the ruler of the second and 11th house, both of those houses are money houses. Going here into the third house, there is going to be conversation about the economy. But the 11th house also represents the masses. So the masses are being represented here, and what's coming to light to the masses, everything that's been hidden where in the shadows, is coming to light with the masses, with this Jupiter. And suddenly, Uranus is sudden happening, sudden events. It's just, it's the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. So that's what's going on. And both Rahu and Jupiter are in Ashwini, and that's miracle healings as well as new beginnings. And Uranus being in Kritika, Kritika is sharp and cutting, and people can become spokespeople for of the wrongs that are in the world, and they want to take care of the children. Kritika is very critical for taking care of the children. So again, we are seeing that. So if I can sum up this new moon that's going to be happening on Sunday, I would say that the children are what's going to be leading us. The welfare of our children, we are all becoming more and more concerned with, and that is going to lead us to our new beginnings, to our new transformations. So there you have it. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and go visit me at my website, www.michellebond007.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for my free newsletter so you'll always be informed. And also book an appointment so we can see how these planetary energies are going to manifest for you in your life. Again, that's michellebond007.com. So be inspired, be empowered, and I will see you next time.